Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Illa Gezey. I am your host, Illa Gezey.
12 years, 85%. I did it. I stood on it. Thing about the streets is you can be caught up at the wrong place at the wrong time. I still got partners out there. You can't expect everybody to see things the way you see it when everybody didn't go through what you went through.
Real topics, real stories, real events. Get my real output.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode. This is episode number 10 of Real Talk with Illa Gezey. On this episode, we will be talking about navigating through life post-incarceration, something that I personally deal with, something that I'm still learning to deal with, and I feel like I can help other people who's going through the same situations, or maybe somebody who's about to go through the situation. Navigating through life post-incarceration, you need some type of support system. You need a strong foundation that's going to make sure that you get the things that you need, that have the proper resources for the things that you need, and people who just know the right people for you. You know what I'm saying? So all in all, you need a good, strong support system. And sometimes that comes outside of family and friends. Sometimes that comes with just community leaders and people who have their hands tied in on certain things that can help inmates coming home from prison. So let's start off with just talking about secure and stable housing. That's one of the number one things that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about when they're about to come home from prison, specifically because all in all, you're ready to just come home. So a lot of people is just thinking about coming home. They may a little bit tend to think about who they gonna live with once they get closer to coming home, like maybe a year. I've seen some people still trying to figure it out within the last 6 months. Right when that last 6 months come, you really do need to have that figured out, because sometimes you have to give them an address, especially if you're going home on some type of parole or some type of paperwork. They want to make sure that you live in there, and they want to make sure it's some type of a good, stable living situation for you. So I feel like stable housing is the number one thing that you have to really navigate about when coming home from prison, because you want to make sure that you're around someone who you can trust, someone who's going to help you, someone who ain't going to just bash you after 30 to 90 days. You want to make sure that you're around someone who loves you, understands your situation, and know how to help you get to the next steps. So that's what stable housing is about. You got a lot of people who come home after doing 10, 15, 20 years, and they don't have nobody to come home to. And that's the realization for a lot of people who get sentenced to 20 years on up. Because you got to think, if a person got sentenced to 26 years or 30 years, whatever the case may be, they got locked up in 2000. They just coming home now. So think about that. 2000 to now. That's a big gap, where family members pass, technology changed so many times, music changed, just the way we live changed. Back in 2000, they didn't have a MySpace, Facebook, or Instagram, or none of that. So all of that takes readjusting to for people who've done that kind of time. So you need to come home to somebody who's willing to help you, show you stuff, and not try to run over on you just because you probably living off of them for the next 30 days to 90 days, or maybe even 6 months. You need somebody who's going to understand your situation. Now, you do have programs like where addicts, so to speak, people have to go through NA and AA classes. They have to be drug free. And some of these programs allow the person to come home from prison a little bit earlier, just so they can go through finish the rest of them doing their time in that program, because that program helps them, and if you fail that program, basically if you fail a drug test, boom, you have to go back to prison and do the rest of your time. Instead, you can go to this program. They offer you shelter, you getting to work, you gonna start earning money, you earning more of your privileges back little bit by little bit. But it's just a step for some people who may be addicts, some people who may not have family. They have churches. They got different programs for all of these types of things, for people who need these types of assistance. So I feel like stable housing, securing stable housing should be the number one thing. Me, myself, my mom passed. She left a mortgage. I made it my business to keep paying that mortgage until I got out of prison. So that's how I got my house. And everybody's situation going to be different. Number two, I feel like finding employment opportunities is the biggest thing right after housing. So I feel like that is something you need to focus on even while you back there, trying to navigate, network with people, talking to people on the outside, trying to make sure that you can get somebody to line you up some type of employment opportunity, even if it's just cutting the grass, raking leaves, door dashing, anything that you could possibly think of that somebody can help you, plug you in with. That's what I feel like is the best step to take. You got to prepare for, especially if you coming home with no money. Now, if you coming home with no money, you need to be looking for jobs immediately before you get home. Now, even with coming home with some racks, even with coming home to some kind of income, to some kind of money that you done saved up, that money start shedding kind of fast. You know what I'm saying? Because of bills. Even if you living with someone, you got to get yourself together. You need clothing. You want you a phone. You missing out on things that you're going to want to make sure that you're going to have because you don't want to miss it no more, especially when you have the finances to make sure that you can purchase some of those things. Finding employment isn't going to be easy. Now, if you got if you did some type of classes back there and you did carpentry or anything that they offer forklift classes, then you have a chance. You have a better chance than a person who has no trade, nothing, like no work history because you done did all this time. These are the obstacles that I face. No work history because you done did all this time. Before I did the time, I was in the streets, knee deep in the streets, so I ain't had much of no work history that I can really rely on. And I ain't really got a trade since I was in prison. I was focused on getting money, and I should have been focused on getting a trade and getting some money at the same time. Because you're gonna need to know something when you come out here. Don't come out here without a plan, and don't come out here without a plan B, because you're gonna need a plan A and you're gonna need a plan B just in case plan A don't go right. Because everything that you want to happen isn't going to happen. So you got to be prepared for that. Don't look at these lists that say felon-friendly jobs. I'm going to repeat that again. Do not look at these lists that say felon-friendly jobs. It's cap. Let me break that down for you. A lot of these jobs that say felon-friendly jobs, you apply to it, you'll check into it. Most of those jobs will hire a felon, but it depends on what the felony charge is. Let's just be real. When people send these lists, all these people hire felons, so ain't no excuse for a felon to say he can't get a job. That's BS. Now, can you get a job? Yes. But you want a job that can pay you enough to live out here. You're not about to just work anywhere and just, you can work anywhere until you get yourself stable. But man, I would recommend being picky at first just to try to get something that you want to get that can actually pay some of your bills or help out wherever you living at. If you're living in one of those housing unit situations, those transitional housing units that's helping addicts and stuff like that, then you can start anywhere. Because my thing is, Piggly Wiggly, grocery stores like that gonna start you off at $9 an hour. Nobody can sustain anything making $9 an hour. Let's just be real. So build you a decent resume, with or without work history, because I didn't have work history. With or without work history, build you a decent resume with things that you do know how to do. Talk about your personality in them. What kind of person you are. What's your work ethic? What kind of drive you have. A lot of these jobs nowadays do assessment questions, and they don't relate to us at all. People who've never had work history, those assessment questions are trick questions for people who don't have work history. So you have to lie. I'm gonna just be honest. You gotta lie on them. And my biggest thing is apply. Call these places. Use friends, family, anybody that you know. Ask people to help you get a job. Find it. It's hard. Just keep going looking. When I was looking, I ain't never stopped. It get discouraging because I've went in places and they've told me you were better off just selling drugs with the robbery charges. And I got robbery, burglary, selling drugs, and gun charges. They told me I was better off just selling drugs. I have somebody else told me, oh, well, yeah, we hire felons, but your charges are more of a risk to our insurance. So once I start hearing that more and more, I'm like, okay, it's certain jobs that I just ain't going to be able to get, especially like right now. And then people will be like, I've had people say, look, oh, they only go back 7 years. You did 12 and a half years. You did 12 years, 9 months. So it ain't going to pull up. That's a lie because they run it through the system. Every state is different too. Now they run it through the system, that check R or whatever. You get a copy and the employer gets a copy. I promise you, every copy I seen went beyond 2011. So I don't know what the law is with that. I don't know what the policy is with that. I do know that every state is different, but that's a whole nother thing. So employment should be your number 2 thing after securing housing. Seek employment daily. Don't let a day go by. You can get on Indeed on your phone every day and look for work. Now I spoke on DoorDash. DoorDash shot me down. So I can't do DoorDash. I can't do Uber. Those are some of the things that I can't do. But sometimes it just depends on the charge that you may have. I can't be trusted with finances or people, or some of these companies just don't want to trust me in general just because of my resume, just because of my record. So it is what it is. We got to move past that. It's a hard part of navigating life post-incarceration, but it's one of them things that you got to tackle and stay consistent. It took me about 9 months before I got my first job. Matter of fact, my homeboy gave me my very first opportunity to make some money. He gave me a job just working with him city to city, and that was my first job when I came home from prison. He gave me that, and then I found a job like a month after that. So I guess I just needed to get my feet wet. Number 3, rebuilding a positive credit history. I started building my credit 7 years before I came home. I started working it. I started building it up because I started to see some of the derogatory marks drop off my credit report. So I'm like, okay, it's a good time for me to start building it. So what I did was got a credit builder card. I got the Chime credit builder card, as a matter of fact. So I got the credit builder card, started using it, ran my credit up to 700 and some change. It started at 500 and whatever. Took me about 2 or 3 years. I used that Chime card for all my purchases, and I ran it up to about a 730 credit score or 735 credit score while I was still in prison. I had that. So I could have got anything that I wanted when I came home from prison. It wasn't hard for me to get phones. It wasn't hard for me to get a car. All of that. They'll give me anything right now, but you got to build that credit up so you can have things. Credit. It's important. Even like sometimes they look for your credit history on housing and stuff like that. When you're trying to rent a house and stuff, man. So you got to make sure your credit is A1 all the way around the board. Especially when, like I say, once you get a job, you're going to need a car to get back and forth to work. Credit. If you want a cash card, that's different. But if you're making payments or anything like that, you gotta have decent credit. If not, you're gonna need a cosigner and a big down payment. So make sure credit is important. It'll stop you from putting a hefty down payment down. But when you got 500 and something credit score, they need a bigger lump sum. So that's one thing. Number 4, access to mental health and counseling services. I know a lot of people that need the mental health services because a lot of guys, whether they want to say it or not, been getting mental health treatment while they was in prison. They would go see the psych doctor. They would have conversations with them. They would talk to them weekly. Or the counselor would come down to the dorm and have a conversation with the person. Either way it go, I feel like those things are so important. But when we get out here, some of these guys don't follow up with that. And I think that's where they may lack at. If that's helping you while you in prison, how do you think it won't help you when you home? Like, that's a whole nother level of it while you home, and they know where you come from. They know what the time you done did. They willing to help you get jobs. They willing to help you find certain resources that you may need. You know, you gotta make sure that you keep getting that mental health support if you get mental health support, or counseling if you're just getting counseling, basic counseling. If you just need somebody therapy to talk to, they got these types of services out here for you that you don't have to necessarily pay for. So that's one thing, just making sure that you can find that access. Before you do come home, they do have people that come to your prison and have conversation with you after you done signed them papers. They'll put you in a group, and they want you to know that you can go through the workforce. They want you to know how you can reach out to them for help. So there's a lot of different avenues of help in every single county. You just have to actually want the help and find the help. All right. So number 5, building a support network. Family, peer groups, mentors. You got to have that support system. Like I said, you got to have that support system. Family, friends, and people you know. Some people rely on the church, but family, friends, and people you know, you gotta have that as that support system. It's important. It's like the foundation to the new house that you're building. That foundation gotta be solid, concrete, and a good solid foundation for you to be able to build that house on. So the support network that you build is going to project how you're going to navigate yourself going forward. So I hope that makes a lot of sense, because without that, failure could be right around the corner, and none of us want to fail. The next thing that I feel like is important is navigating legal and parole requirements. I think a lot of people, when they come home from prison, when they get released from prison, they just want to be free. They don't want no attachments to nothing. Yeah, they on parole, but they want to still smoke. They want to celebrate. They want to smoke, drink, party, do this, that, and the third. You gotta make sure you do the proper things, that you don't mess up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta pay them people that money if you're on parole. Gotta pay them their money, and they want you to have some type of employment too. I wasn't on parole. I was on community supervision. After you do 10 years or more violent in South Carolina, you're going to get on community supervision. And it lasts 2 years. I wasn't on it exactly 2 years. I got off a little bit early because I paid them off, and I basically met the requirements. I didn't fail a drug test, and I paid them their money. And I stayed out of trouble. Simple as that. It's easy. It's easy. Life is simple. People make it complicated, bro. Get them people their money. Give them a clean drug test or 2. Because I ran through at least 4 different agents. They gave me my initial one. Then after about 6 months, I had another one. And then after that, I had another one. And then at the end of mine, I had another one. And I was just like, wow, can I still pay this money to get off early? And they was like, yeah, I had to do certain things. And I paid the money and I got off there early. If you're on long, extensive parole, 5 years or more, something like that, walk a thin line, man. Be careful who you hang around. Be careful who you be around. And just move smart. That's the main thing, man. Just move smart. It won't be easy, especially when you've changed. If you made a change in how you are, then you're changing your people who you used to be around in the streets. And that won't be easy, but it gotta be done if you made that change for yourself. Not saying them people who been your friends can't be your friends. Them can still be your friends. But if you made a change for yourself, it'll show. And everybody will see it, you know. So my next thing that I think is important is access to education and vocational training. They have a place here called Voc Rehab. They do vocational training, or they supposed to. They wasn't able to help me, but make sure you can get your GED in prison for free. So if you don't got that, you can get that. If they have trades, it's just that. So with me, on certain yards, they didn't have none. Or if they had a class, they only had it for a certain amount of time. Or their class was full. You got to wait for the next class. Boom. While you're waiting for the next class, you can't catch a charge. Because if you catch a charge, you can't take education. Only the education you could take when you catch a charge was like GED. Has they changed that? I don't know. But when you catch a charge in prison, it's a lot of things that take away from you, like visitation, canteen, phone privileges, a lot of things, man. Even with the hygiene that you can buy while you're on restriction, you can only buy a certain amount. So the shit be hard. And then when you don't got a phone privilege, you don't got your visitation privilege, I guess they want you to write your family. Anyways, you want to get on the phone with your family. So if there's a will, there's a way. You're going to make sure you talk to your family, right? That's why I kept catching charges, because there's no way you're going to stop me from talking to my mama. It just ain't. I already couldn't see her, but you wanted me to stop talking to her? Like, nah, we ain't doing that. So access to education and vocational training, if I could go back and do it again, I would try to take on carpentry at least. I don't remember all. I know they had auto mechanics at one yard that I was on. I know carpentry was on a few yards, and I don't remember them all. But they do have a few different trades on different yards. So different yards have different ones. All right, so that's the access to education and vocational training. And when you get out here, you can still get training. They still have programs that'll help train you for a trade. And that's your access to education and vocational training. Now, this is number 8, and I feel like this is very important. Developing financial literacy and budgeting skills. I'm good with money. I'm good with budgeting. A lot of people ain't. And if you ain't learned that from prison, which it is hard to learn from prison because you don't have bills while you're in prison. You don't have real active bills, or the average person in prison don't. So basically, the developing financial literacy and budgeting, if you don't have nobody to teach you that, read books and teach yourself. Teach yourself about it, because you're going to need to know how to budget. There's no way possible you can make $2,000 a month, but your bills add up to $2,500 a month, and you don't notice how that's going. You're on the road to destruction. You can't make more. You can't be making less than what your bills is, because then you ain't budgeting right. You need to cut back on some of these bills to make this thing work, and that's where that comes into play. Food, healthcare, light bill, phone bill, water bill, electricity, and then you got these additional things that people love to buy, which is like Disney Plus, Hulu, Paramount, Netflix, Spotify, Apple Music, and all the additional things that you may want aren't necessarily needed. So make sure that you learn budgeting and learn financial literacy. If you do not know it, and you in prison, or if you about to come home, or if you home, watch YouTube, read books, just study it. It's common sense for the basic part, but to go ahead, yeah, it gets a little deeper. But budgeting is basic. It's very basic. You make $2,000, your bills don't need to exceed $1,700, if you ask me, because you need a little flexibility with the remaining money. You know what I'm saying? Your bills and groceries and everything. You got to think about gas. Everything got to be going to your mindset when you're thinking about budgeting and saving. Then you got to put important things first. So make sure you read books. Make sure you study on your spare time about budgeting and financial literacy if you're not good with money. My next thing is access to healthcare and substance abuse support. They have plenty access to substance abuse support. They have more access to that than I know of anything else. They got plenty access. Substance abuse, man, substance abuse, they'll put you in a house. You know what I'm saying? But when you robbing and just breaking in people's houses, or just like just being out here with guns, robbing people, doing bad things, they ain't necessarily trying to look out for us like that. The ones who used to do that. But a person who used to smoke crack or used to be on alcohol, them guys get the special red carpet treatment. I mean, it's okay. They need help getting off of what they own. Let them do what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? So I agree with it. They got all the support out here. A lot of access to that. And the last thing I think is very important is goal setting and long-term planning for personal and professional growth. Set goals. Set goals while you're in prison. Write them down. Jot them down. Make realistic goals. But when you're doing a long bid, them goals will change. I've changed my mind about a few different things in my goals list. I've had them written down and I said, nah, I ain't gonna do that no more. And then a few years later, I want to do some other stuff. Regardless, make short-term goals, make long-term goals, but make realistic goals. And as you're getting home, and as you come home out into society, just make sure you capture every goal and celebrate it when you get it. Me, myself, they wouldn't give me my license because I owed tickets. And basically I had to take the test all over, and I had to pay money for the tickets. That was a lot, but I did it. And when I got my license, I celebrated. I celebrate that. Celebrate the little steps, the little goals, the short-term goals. Celebrate them because they make the long-term goals feel so much easier. Celebrate the little goals, man. Celebrate them. I celebrated when I paid my when I paid my mama's house off. When I paid them the rest of the mortgage off. It's a big celebration. Now all the bills are on me and my family. We have to take care of that. We got to make sure that we take care of everything. Now we not relying on nobody. We're not relying on no landlord. We're not relying on the mortgage people. No, it's on us to make sure we pay the property tax, to make sure we get homeowners insurance. You know what I'm saying? Responsibility, and it's about accountability. Everything boils back down to growth and development. Everything goes around back to the growth and development. Everything, bro. We here to grow together. You know what I'm saying? So everybody who's coming home from prison, make sure you got your ducks in order. If you got money, make sure you know how to budget that money. Make sure you don't come out here and just splurge that money. Invest it. Put it into something that can make more money. And don't look to try to get rich overnight. Some things gonna take time. Some things just gonna take time. So take your time. You sat back there for 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more. You took your time. Time didn't go faster or slower. Take your time when you get out here. You ain't in no rush. Time don't wait for no man. But guess what? I know about us. We ain't no slouches when we get out here. We trying to figure it out. Especially when you one of them people who really want to figure that thing out. You trying to figure out society. Trying to figure out how to navigate through this thing. But once a person like me figure it out, I got it. Because once I figured prison out, it took me a few years to figure it out. Well, I was locked up in the county for 3 years. Then I went to prison. So maybe 2 years in prison. Once I did about 2.5 years in prison, I had it figured out. And I was getting to it. You know what I'm saying? But, like I said, I wish I had slowed it down just a little bit and got me a trade. For real. With no work history. And a lot of guys come to prison and they get sentenced to, like my homeboy, he got sentenced to 20 years. He been down since he was like 17, 18. No work history, really. So you got to learn certain things in prison. I know a lot of guys who learn how to be electricians from prison. Learn how to do landscaping from prison. Learn how to be a plumber from prison. These are things that they'll hire you just to show you how to do the work. It ain't really a trade, but they'll hire you to help with that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because if you really want to learn something, it's ways around it. You know what I'm saying? And once you know it, can't nobody take it from you. This has been another episode of Real Talk with Illa Gezey, man. Navigating through life post-incarceration. Very, very, very important topic. A topic I'm still dealing with. A topic I'm still battling with. Every day, y'all do not know how hard it is. This is my therapy. Being alone is my therapy. And just gathering my thoughts to myself be my therapy. As long as I can help somebody else, it helps me as well. So that's a whole nother thing. This is a whole nother reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to keep growing together like I always say. It's about growth and development, baby. We got to grow. We got to grow together, and we got to be real with one another. This has been another episode of Real Talk with Illa Gezey. Real topics, real stories, real events, and I'm giving you my real output. I'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.